Okay, sorry for being late, everybody. But the reason why I'm late is because I've made many mistakes in my life. And many of our meetings is only about the addict, their wrongs, their wrong attitudes. What they've done wrong, by intention, by not intention, by living in the wrong way. So I'm sure there's many that maybe if I'm late for something one day, or I slip a little bit in my discipline in some area, or I get a little bit of road rage, or when I get angry about anything that any human being would get angry about, then I get questioned. Or a person maybe that is on medication or something like that gets questioned, or addict that's on medication gets questioned, hey, have you taken your medication? Or hey, are you okay? Are you working your program? And we are trying to remove the stigma to addicts. And tonight I want to make sure that my meeting doesn't get taken out of context. How's it, Tara? How's it, Craig? Some of the names pop up so quickly I don't see them all. But good evening all again, everybody around the world, from RAEL Recovery Center. And the point I'm trying to get across here is that a person that is really in recovery and really trying and really growing, so the context that I'm speaking in tonight, good evening Charlotte, Diane, all our good friends that support us and watch us a lot and that share things and that just watch to learn something. What I'm really trying to do is, please people, do not take this out of context tonight. How's it, Dad? Nice to see that you're watching. It's very nice to see that you're watching. And I know some people are thinking, get to the point. But we speak about addiction being a family illness. So, not in every case, but in many cases, and I'll say it again, that I will stand up for the addict that is really trying hard. For the person that is really trying to do their best with their recovery. Good evening, Avril. So, as we say that it's a family illness, is that after so many years of frustration, destruction, and conflict, and harm, and discord amongst families, is the addict the only person that needs therapy? Don't we all have human nature? Haven't parents or loved ones or girlfriends, because of the addict or the sick person, as we say it, as we all agreed with last night, the 1,041 comments, all agreed with it last night. But how much effort, and I'm not trying to put the loved ones or the families down, but how much effort are we putting in to work on ourselves? Because I can guarantee you now, if I've been drinking and drugging and carrying on and going on my sprees for 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case might be, that the entire family is ill to some extent. It has to be. So I want to ask the families, what have you done today to deal with your resentment? What have you done today to not be angry, which is normal? What have you done to deal with that anger today, that you don't get resentful or vindictive against your son or loved one that's a addict? Because remember, it's not only addicts that steal. It's not only addicts that plan revenge. It's not only addicts that want to run everything and run people's lives. But there's a stigma attached to addicts. Oh yes, I did steal crowns at the Spur at when I think I was about 4 years old. I know it was before school. But my dad put me in my place there and took me back to the Spur to take the crowns back because he was showing me how to do the right thing. And he continued doing that through another 20, 30 years of cack I gave him that he put up with. And I was an accomplice to burning the butchery down by accident. But many people have made these mistakes in their lives, man. How many non-alcoholics and addicts have done a bit of manipulation, a bit of fraud, a bit of overexcitement, a bit of over-enjoyment? But the point I'm trying to get to is that after this amount of being comatose, this amount of time of being comatose and being a person driven by their illness to get their drink and drug. Once this person enters recovery, how well do you know them, man? And I know that there's moms out there that put in big efforts. And I know that there's moms that ask themselves, where did I go wrong and what did I do wrong? And parents in general. But you know, RAEL was started out of, and it got its name from Mr. Hall saying that he's a recovering alcoholic enjoying life. And I believe that there was many judgments about the way that he enjoyed his life at that time. And I can only learn from the experiences that I've seen and heard him carry the message and tell me about. That there's people that will disagree with you. But you know what? At that time, he was learning from another man in recovery. Not from another person in recovery that couldn't get him right or show him how to get recovery before. So families, sorry, that just calms my nerves. So what should happen with the family afterward? As we say, it's a family illness and the whole family gets affected. Is that, yes, there should be boundaries and rules and things like that. And again, I say that I'm speaking in the general here, where I mean not the person that is an addict, that is 18 years old, who's got his mom wrapped around his finger, that's being enabled and so on. But I'm talking about the 30-year-old that is doing recovery. He's finding a job. He's doing his thing. He's listening to his sponsor. He's wanting recovery. He's doing well. He's enjoying life. Sticking to rules and certain boundaries. But parents and families can't be embarrassed of what their sons are off drugs, man. Because then you need help as well, man. That is the point I'm trying to get across here. Isn't your pride standing in the way then of who your son is? Do you know your son or your loved one I say your son because we work with a lot of males. It's sort of default that I say son. But I mean loved one, an addict, an alcoholic, or any person that is really working hard in their recovery. Why don't people always look at the progress instead of the faults that addicts make, man? Why can't I have a Brian listen to loud music? Why can't I get a little bit excited and find some enjoyment? As long as it's within the boundaries of recovery, if I'm working hard on my recovery and listening to my sponsor like I should be, not to everybody that had all these ideas. And I'm not getting personal in my own story, but there has been those along the way that have had all these suggestions that haven't worked, and then I get sober and then still try and keep telling me how to keep living. Addicts don't become robots when they enter recovery. And I say again, yes, of course. Yes, of course, there should be boundaries and things like that. And just like parents should learn about enablement, they should learn about themselves as well, their pride. Your son is an addict, man. But if he's in recovery, accept it. That's where he's been. And try and do your part to not cause discord and disharmony. So I just want to read something here, what usually happens in recovery. And what happens is, all the people that couldn't help you before, not because they're bad people, because they didn't know what to do. Mothers and fathers don't know what to do. But if we say it's a family illness, then what you should be doing is contributing to yourself getting well, because you deserve it. Because if your son is doing something that you don't like and you think that is not good for his recovery, then you should go find out if it is good or not, man. Otherwise, what are you doing? So I'm going to read something here, and we've got literature and things like that from 1935 because that's what worked. And generations have gotten a little bit softer since then. And it's a chapter 9 in the big book. It's called The Family Afterward. And again I say that maybe it's a cuck excuse, but not all my wrongdoings was intentional, man. I've got the excuse to say that I was on drugs, but I've done something about it today. What excuse to the people that don't like addicts, that try and pull addicts down, that try and dictate to them how to live, people that have never been addicts? Oh shit, yeah, no, I burnt my own car down as well. And pride kept me from saying that I'd done it with my own hands. I first said it was somebody else that I was making cuck, and that people, because pride stood in the way. And I believe that's what stands in the way of a lot of parents when it comes to the stigma. How can I be putting my family in the eyes when I'm sober, I'm doing the right thing, living my life? And remember, I'm generalizing here. I'm not only speaking from my personal experience, because if I only speak about myself and not what I work with, then I can only reach people that's identical to me and situations identical to me. I'm trying to let a lot of people think and relate here. Learn the rules of recovery, man. It's a family illness. So what happens is, in the recovery material, there's a chapter 9 called The Family Afterward for a reason. It's to warn the addict and alcoholic that's in recovery of what is going to happen, because most situations are similar. And then it's for the family. Because remember, like I say again, enablement is one of the top top subjects we talk about. And mothers and fathers and loved ones and girlfriends and boyfriends and all of recovering addicts are quick to find out about enablement. But find out about your vindictivism, your resentment, your guilt. Because we've experienced before that sometimes the people closest to us don't want the person in recovery to actually excel and live their own life and be who they are. So what happens then is that the codependent or the enabler or the person that isn't the addict but needs to be needed or needs to be in control or needs to dictate actually drives that person back to drugs, man. When they're having innocent fun. And again I say, please don't take this out of context. Please don't take it out of context. Again I say that it's a family illness and I'm standing up for the people that are working hard on their recovery, that are doing things the right way, listening to the people that know about recovery and that have been through it. I'm standing up for those people. I'm not standing up for the people that's playing recovery. I'm not standing up for the people that are still manipulating their loved ones and parents and they are what we call dry drunk. I'm talking about those people that are seriously trying hard to change their life for the better. So we all need to work on ourselves as a family. And either once recovery starts and dad or the loved one or the person in recovery gets sober and clean and is in recovery and doing well, then the whole family and everybody that's involved gets together and has their opinions and ways and thoughts of how this person is supposed to be. But do you know this person after they've been drugged and acted in certain ways for 10 years? Do you really know how they have to be in recovery? Because before drugs, I held resentments. Before drugs, I was kakskalm. And before I came to the conclusion, after using for a long time, that I was an addict, these things weren't harmful to me. They weren't harmful to me because I don't have the privilege of holding a resentment because it makes me spiritually ill and my recovery depends on my spiritual condition. Yo, how's it, Denzel? I think I had a resentment at you at one stage in my life, Denzel, because you were double my size in high school. I think even when I came into recovery, you could have even been on my list of resentments that I needed to get over, Denzel. The good thing you moved to Germany. But anyways, we're grown up now and we get over things. Lekker to see you watching. Hi, Auntie Connie. So it's a family illness, okay? So just like last night we heard and we agreed about the addict that needs to realize that he's powerless and he needs complete deflation and things like that. It's human nature and human traits that the addict is actually trying to fight. It's default. When somebody slaps me here, it's automatic for me to want to slap them or to punch them or to do better or to do worse towards them. But in recovery, I can't have that because it makes me spiritually sick. Addicts have also been wronged, man. And many a time, not because, again I say, not because parents and loved ones and people around us are bad people. They're either misinformed, possibly a little bit ignorant, and maybe even uneducated. And education is power. If we work together in this, and the family has education, if the family has, we try and start to educate the families. Okay, it's been a little bit difficult with this lockdown nonsense to educate families and to smoke. But we'll get there if we work together. Because remember, it's a family illness. We need to work together. So, me in recovery, trying to live my life and be the person that each family member has the picture of in their mind that I should be and the way that I should act. That is putting shackles on my feet, man. And again I say, within the boundaries and rules and normal. No, fuck. Sorry. What is normal nowadays? Within the rules and boundaries and etiquette. Can I not be my own person, man? Am I not discovering myself? Should my family not go on that journey with me to discover what I enjoy, who I am, and what makes me excited? The way that I should have a new interest in them. So we heard about me being powerless, or the addict being powerless over these certain things. Once I pick up that first drink, there's no stopping for me. The only thing that stops me is drugs or rehab. Once I start drinking. And Angelique, I know you've been through this as well. It's nice to see you watching, because education is power, man. Education is power for our grandkids and our other kids to not go through this. And I get angry because there's a lack of it. So, okay, let me get to the literature and calm down a bit. All members of the family should meet upon the common ground of tolerance, understanding, and love. This involves a process of deflation. Now, I don't have a brother. I've got a sister, but I say brother, sister, mother, father, loved one, stepfather, children, daughters, sons, whatever it is in your close-knit family that you are affecting, or the addict has affected. All of those people should respect each other's thoughts of how they know this person. Because yes, my mother knows the person that I was before the drugs, and that was a person that it was okay to hold resentments. That was a person that it was okay to go do certain things, but if she learns about the rules and learns about recovery and embarks this journey with me, instead of trying to dictate to me how to live it and who I'm supposed to be. Because remember, me in recovery must accept everything about me and about the people around me. When I want to dictate or change, then I'm the one that wants to be in control again. But then sometimes isn't it a bit reversed? Doesn't the family member or loved one, granny or grandfather or sister or child or whoever, want to dictate to me how it's supposed to be? Aren't they then taking the role of the addict without the drugs? So all members should meet upon common ground, and the common ground is for the family to live in harmony, because what's the use if I get sober and the family is still in discord? Not what's the use as if that's an excuse for me to relapse. But aren't we all trying to be happy? And if I can teach the addict how to be happy, the literature that is meant for the family, because it's a family illness, can teach the family as well. And if we have this knowledge, we can all get well, because it says we all ill. So the common ground is tolerance, understanding, and love. Everybody needs a little bit of deflation of pride, a little bit of deflation of ego, their thoughts and ways and how they think it should be. Because why must I hide that I'm an addict, man, in recovery? Didn't I put my family enough in the eyes when I was begging, borrowing, and stealing and burning out things? So the alcoholic, his wife, his children, his in-laws, each one is likely to have fixed ideas about the family's attitude towards him or herself. Each one is interested in having his or her wishes respected. Sorry. And that's normal if you're human. We find the more one member of the family demands that the others concede to him, the more resentful they become. Now everybody should be... No, it's not cheap Angie's. It's not cheap Angie's, it's Winston. I have big drags because I'm not always sure where my next drag is going to come from. The more resentful they become. So if dad has got his plans and thoughts and ideas of how the addict is supposed to be, if mom or sister or brother or cousin or child has got their plans and thoughts and ideas of how dad or brother or addict in recovery is supposed to now be, they're all going to sit fast, man. Isn't there going to be more resentment? Isn't there going to be more confusion for the addict because he's trying to meet and people please everybody's needs there? And people pleasing was one of my character defects that dragged me down to drug, man. So if I have to act in a certain way, because of your insecurities and your illness that you can't work on, yes, maybe I'm part of the result that made you ill. Not me, I'm talking about the addict in general. But it's not my responsibility. I cannot change the past, man. It's your responsibility to fix yourself and change yourself. But many a time the literature, it's mentioned over and over. Who would care to change if it wasn't their life that was threatened, man? Is some family members and loved ones and the whole trip not getting some kind of satisfaction out of still wanting to be in control? I can't live just like the mothers and fathers can't live their lives on eggshells. They must be who they want to be. I must also be, me, the addict I'm talking about, recovering addict, must also be who I want to be, man. And we can all be who we want to be. We can all reach a place of serenity and peace and understanding, because that's what it says. We must all tolerate each other. We must try the best of our ability to see it from another person's point of view. And again I say education is key. Because our fear is that the same thing is going to happen. But if we don't educate ourselves, it's out of our control of that happening again. Each one in the family is likely to have fixed ideas about the family's attitude about himself or herself. Each is interested in having his or her wishes respected. We find the more one member demands that the others concede to him, the more resentful they become. This makes for discord and unhappiness. And now aren't we trying to get away from that, man? How well do you know the person that's been drugging for 10, 20 years off drugs? How well do you know them off drugs, man? Walk that journey with them. With tolerance, love, and understanding. With your boundaries in place. With education to know that if they're manipulating you. But why, if a man is happy and is in recovery, are there so many people that aren't in recovery that has got a lot of shit to say, man? Work on yourself as well, man. The open-mindedness and willingness that we spoke, be honest with yourself. The open-mindedness and willingness that we spoke about last night, it's a family illness. And like Mr. Hall said, these steps taken can improve everybody's life. Only the first step speaks about alcohol and addiction. The others is a lifestyle and processing change. A seeing and understanding that it can create for all of us. This makes for discord and unhappiness. And why? Is it not because each one wants to play the lead? Mom wants her plans and her thoughts and her ideas to, and the picture that mom has in her mind, she wants that to be there. Which there's nothing wrong with that, mom or moms. But we need the willingness to work to be able to get that picture, because that's the same picture that we had in our minds when the loved one was still using. And we wish well for our loved ones' lives. We know that moms do that. But we can only carry the message, not the addict. And it's the same as the selfish, self-centeredness in the addict, which is the core of the addict's problem. He's made the family ill. But he can't make them unill. They need to do their part as well. You know, there's a chapter about the actor as well, where they speak about the addict in recovery, or the actor not in or the addict not in recovery as well, where I got this picture in my mind. I'm speaking as if I'm the addict now, because I am the addict, but I'm the addict in recovery. They got this picture in their mind of how it should be, how they want it to be arranged, and things like that. And family members also have this picture in their mind. They also want to be the director of the whole show. Instead of trying to live the addict's life, the addict that's in recovery's life for them, trying to live it with them. I've got no time for a person that discriminates addicts. And everybody watching here this tonight can go and tell that to everybody. I've got no time for a person like that. I don't hate them because I can't. It makes me spiritually ill. But if I could hate them, I would. Because they've also made mistakes, man. Like I started the meeting off, how many people don't have the excuse to say that they were under the influence of a mind-altering substance and made mistakes? Is not each member trying to arrange the family show to his liking? I'm getting there. Is it not unconsciously trying to see what he can take from the family rather than give? I'm going to read that again. Because remember, we're quick to talk about the addict that takes his way. But when last have we checked that ourselves and our pride and our egos and our way? Tit for tat. I almost said, no, he effed me, so I'm going to F him back. Because not only addicts have made mistakes, man. Is he not unconsciously trying to see what he can take from the family rather than give? We're talking about the family members now of the addict. Even though their intentions are pure and good, and the picture they have in their mind is harmony and wonderful, we need to work towards that as a family. And I'll say it again, remember, because it's a family illness. If it's a rainy night and I'm sitting with my loved one, and the 8 o'clock movie's about to start, and I get a 12-step call of somebody that is in need of help for an addict, or I have to go to a meeting, instead of my loved one getting jealous, they should be encouraging me to go. Instead of the kids thinking I'm neglecting them for recovery, they should remember that if I do not do that, I'll be drinking or drugging again. Stopping drinking is but the first step away from a highly strained, abnormal condition. I said it already, but yeah, it says it in the literature as well. Years of living with an alcoholic and addict is almost sure to make any wife or child or loved one neurotic. The entire family is to some extent ill. Let families realize as they start their journey. Let families realize as they start their journey. And yes, for sure, we believe in tough love and not enabling and all of that. But there's another side to it. Let families realize as they start their journey that not all will be fair weather. Each in his own turn may be footsore and may struggle. And this is a very interesting part because I've experienced a little bit of it myself. I've worked and helped people and Mr. Hall has also enlightened me about a lot of it. the practical of it. Thank God for Mr. Hall. Because sometimes when you see somebody living a program, it's better than reading about a program that might work. And I have to say that if I wasn't in a community led by a man like Mr. Hall, that is living the program, it's easy to read the 12 steps. It's easy to say, I forgive and I forget. But to be taught by a man like Mr. Hall that is living it, and that has been through some situations himself, and to be taught by somebody that has been through it and that carries the message so well, is priceless. Because you read it in the literature and sometimes you don't believe it, and then you hear it from somebody like Mr. Hall that has been through it, that is living the program. Like I said to you, it's easy to say or to read forgive and forget, but to be taught by another person that struggled with the same things. And I'm not only talking about drugs and alcohol, I'm talking about resentments, I'm talking about guilt or remorse or bad behavior, and how to live to change those things, and you see it with your own eyes. And it's explained to you. That is actually honestly a privilege. Not to hear it from some counselor that studied or read this stuff. He's telling you, you mustn't hold resentments. You're laying on his couch and paying him $2,000 for the hour. He's telling you, you must forgive and forget, but he's sitting with a whole lot of resentments. Can't live it. That shit doesn't work, man. Got a person telling me how to detox that's never been on drugs. It's insane. That's why I listen to Mr. Hall. Suppose we tell you some of the obstacles a family will meet. And like I said to you, yeah, I read in the literature, but we get warned about these things and we get told about these things, and Mr. Hall enlightens the families, and RAEL as an organization likes to communicate with the families, because it's not just some addict isn't just some robot or some person that must just be put in a routine here, do things this way, be that person. Everybody has their own individual personality, man. And we bring out the good of that personality. I was taught to do that by him, by Mr. Hall. So that that person can find happiness and they don't need to put shit in their bodies to feel better. But us as families can't stand in the way of that person's real personality, man. Let them grow. Help them flourish. Walk that journey with them. Suppose we suggest how they may be avoided. Remember, we need to be one step ahead of this addiction shit the whole time. Otherwise, it makes the whole family ill again. Not only the addict falls. And I'm sure mothers and fathers and loved ones can agree with me. I feel like the president now saying, don't touch your nose. And I touched my nose. So what happens is, I spoke about the picture that the mothers and fathers and loved ones have in their mind. And it says it here. Suppose we suggest how they may be avoided, the obstacles that the family will meet, even converted to good use for others. Now that is what Mr. Hall has done. The obstacles that he's met, the message that was carried to him about those obstacles and the way to handle them, that is the message that one man carries to plus minus 30 people over here, but hundreds and thousands around the world. And hopefully I can also do that and reach people. And if we have the education, much more of us can reach people. Because the drugs aren't going to stop. The family illness isn't going to stop until we as family units start doing something about ourselves. The family of an alcoholic or addict longs for the return of happiness and security. They remember the time when father, they just say father because the father or addict was romantic, thoughtful and successful. Today's life is measured against that of other years, and when it falls short, the family may be unhappy. So what usually happens at any given time, the family confidence in dad or the drunk or the addict is rising high. The good old days will soon be back. Thank you, Angus. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Yeah? So we all get our confidence back. The family's confidence is high. And sometimes the family wants it back instantly. But I want to maybe continue at some stage with this topic. You guys can inbox us or message us for questions on situations, because we want to help. Because we want to help you reach that bigger picture that you've got in your mind, but without discord and unhappiness. Because we've all been made ill through the drinking and drugging and bad behavior. So I think I'm just going to not end off there, but maybe ask or request the families to take the time to work on their hurts, to take the time to get rid of the illness and the resentments and the things that they're sitting with that was caused through addiction that affects the whole family. It's not 1985 anymore that we need to be embarrassed. It's happening to everybody's kids. We need to speak about this. That's where RAEL Orange Friday comes from, people. So that I can see you wearing something orange on a Friday. Even if it's a ribbon. Some people go to the extreme and they put on orange lipstick. But everybody knows an addict, man. Everybody's affected by this. But we need to get the pride out of the way, so that we can all be happy. It's no use me going into recovery. And that is my point I'm trying to get across to families. Is that we all want to be happy. It's no use me going into recovery and I'm working a program and I find happiness. The point of, or part of the point of my recovery should be for my loved ones and everybody else to find some kind of happiness as well. So I ask you tonight, which I think maybe lockdown has privileged some people to work on themselves, to take inventory of their situation, to find answers, to better themselves. And we say it to our guys here all the time, that we've got this time for a time out to work on ourselves, but it's not only a time out for us. And we've all made mistakes, but we can correct them. So, love to all this evening. I'm going to let Mr. Hall speak now, because when he speaks, people listen. And I know that if I didn't listen to him, I would have been dead today. Maybe that is why it says my pain became my inspiration, because this man showed me a way out. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the RAEL organization and to Mr. Hall. But let's start creating awareness and getting educated about this thing together, because it's gone beyond pandemic. It's gone far beyond that now. Okay. Love you lots all. Share if you care. And we hopefully see you all tomorrow night again. Good evening. God bless.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Sure, what do you say after a share like that? That is one of the finest talks on this subject I've ever heard. It's wonderful, you know, that this gift that Kurt has got, because he learned to listen and he listens to learn. And that was, I think this was the most amazing talk that he gave. I was sitting on the couch listening to this man who's fortunate or unfortunate or whatever, the way he looks at it, to come through my hands by the grace of God and turning into a wonderful counselor, a wonderful speaker, wonderful person, wonderful manager. And he knows what he's got to lose today. If he keeps on doing what he's doing at the moment, this man will speak to millions of people one day. It was a powerful message. It was a message for all of us. And it's a message to realize that we, as the addict or the alcoholic, I wish they would find some other word for it. We love our families. We were sick people, not bad people. We loved our families, and we still love our families. We even love those that have passed on. Give us the break. Let's remove the stigma. Let's carry on with Orange Friday. We are the only rehabilitation center in the world who are doing these live recovery stories. In a little town from Worcester. So we can be proud of that. And we can be proud of carrying the message to mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, addicts, non-addicts, you name it. It's wonderful. Kurt's mother and father, who I know very, very well for many years, can be so proud of their son today. And the sister Lucille. And the friends of Kurt. So proud. Because here we don't give... You know what they're doing at schools now? If you get 15%, you get a certificate. If you get 25%, you get a certificate and a medal. And if you get 50%, then you're allowed to go out to the teacher. What a lot of crap, man. We're lowering the standards. We must realize that people must reach our standards. We can't lower our standards, because when we were in active addiction, our standards were so low that you couldn't even sweep us with a toothbrush. Anyone who comes into RAEL must realize that you must come up to our standard. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But come to our standard, and then you've got a better chance of going out there and carrying on and being a decent human being and being a productive member of society. You know, people have asked, what rules are there here? There's no rules. Common decency, respect for each other, but all opinions expressed from this platform are the opinions of RAEL. The opinions of the person giving the talk. And we like to vary it. And yesterday, I think there were 4,000 or 5,000 views on it. So it's growing by the day. Now, it's not growing to get our ego up. It's growing so we can touch more people. We can save more people's lives. Our egos is long up. Because when we put down the drink and we put down the drug, we suddenly started to love ourselves. When I looked in the mirror, when I first put the drink and the drug down, and after a couple of months, I thought, hey, Tom Hanks, you look so much like me. We're not beggies anymore. We're not scum anymore. We've got bloody backbone. And there's people here in this center and who are out there that have come through RAEL that I'll go to war with. Because we know both sides. You don't lose what you've learned through the bad times. You never lose it. We never lose it. So thank you again. May God bless you. And you know, just on closing on what Kurt has spoken about, we're just going to show you something, so don't turn it off in the next minute, please. Don't do that. It's like, you know, asking your... Okay, no, let's not even go there. What Kurt has spoken about is vital. But let us never forget, a family that prays together stays together. Let us forgive. We don't have to forget. But let us forgive, but hold nothing against each other. Because everyone in this world, including Becky Cele, a.k.a. Chuck Norris, Ramaphosa, that silly woman Zuma, and the cabinet of South Africa, imagine if you opened up their cupboards, how much skeletons would fall out. But the easy targets are the still suffering addict, or the addict and alcoholic in recovery. May you have a beautiful week. We are not going to be lining up the bottle store tomorrow to buy DOP, because we've had enough. We have got full ANCs. We're on Winston, we're on Camel. What else? We've got Chesterfield. All name brands. We've been very blessed with ANCs. And we will share the ANCs with you, because that's what it is. That's what addiction recovery is all about. It's about giving it away. The only way you can keep what you've got is to give it away. But don't like 100 people come and line up now for cigarettes, because you're not going to get. But those who know us well will get. Please don't go to the bottle store tomorrow. But there's nothing wrong with people having a drink. We are not anti-drink, we are anti-drugs. Drink to us is poison, but drink to you is not poison. If you can drink and your life is manageable, drink. But to us it's poison. Drugs, poison. I'm very proud of Kurt tonight. Because while he was talking, I wanted to come sit in his chair, because he was making me sweaty and getting all excited like I haven't been excited for a while. You know why? Because he spoke from the bloody heart. I've known this man for 15 years. He spoke from the heart. Tonight, you were privileged to get a talk from the heart of a beautiful man. God bless you, and please hold on half a second. There's the things to chow, Bruce. No, he's not putting it there. Hey there. Yes, sir. You missed Kurt.